My golden sister accused me of cheating to steal my fiancé. I exposed her at the wedding, making her pay. My name is Lisa, I'm 27, and if I had $1 for every time Amanda, my sister, showcased her golden persona, I'd be lounging on a beach sipping cocktails, far away from her toxicity. Amanda is 3 years older and considers herself the pinnacle of human evolution. She always knew how to make the spotlight shine solely on her. A sparkling career, a perfect smile, and eyes that always promised some mischief. Meanwhile, I was the one in the shadows, enduring endless comparisons and jokes about how I should take a page from her book. But do you know what happened when I finally caught a break? I met David. He was my light at the end of the tunnel, a guy with an incredible sense of humor who turned everything he touched into gold. A couple of years later, he proposed, and like any normal girl, I was ecstatic and started preparing for our wedding. Of course, Amanda had to have her dramatic entrance. Picture her with perfectly styled hair, looking like a queen who just found a smudge on her throne. She announced she had important news, and everyone held their breath. Then she played her card, accusing me of cheating. Yes, she presented evidence so well forged that any detective would yawn with envy. Lisa, how could you? David deserves the truth. Amanda's voice oozed with false concern, like she was the heroine of some cheap sitcom. On her phone screen, which she brandished like a martyr, there were messages and photos, perfect for a dramatic blow. My breath caught, and sparks of anger and pain lit in my eyes. The silence in the room pressed on me, squeezing out any remaining faith I had in people. David, standing in the corner, looked like someone had told him his favorite football team lost every match of the season. His eyes met mine, shadowed with doubt. Everything we had built together could crumble in an instant. "What are you doing, Amanda?" I croaked, feeling cold sweat trickling down my back. But of course, my sister just shook her head as if I was the crazy one. I stared at the door David had just slammed shut, feeling the air in the room grow thick like syrup. My brain struggled to process what was happening, but it felt like a scene from a bad thriller where the heroine panics and whispers, "How did it come to this?" Only I stood in the middle of our living room, eyes filled with tears, unable to blink. Moments before, David had been here, cold and detached, as if I were some stranger from next door with an inexplicable story. Amanda had managed to slip in her venomous comment, "Lisa, I just wanted everything to be honest," before he left, and now her words echoed in my mind. Honest? That snake spoke of honesty? It was the height of her acting skills. She should have gone for an Oscar. The photos she showed were so realistic that my hands shook when I looked at them. The messages where I allegedly flirted with some mythical man were so skillfully crafted that even I might have believed them if I didn't know better. Amanda had poured all her cunning into this charade, and now I was paying the price. David didn't even give me a chance to explain. It was like he had switched into an automatic mode of believe everything your sister says. He shut down, as if someone had pressed mute, and left without another word. And there I was, alone in the house that, just an hour ago, seemed perfect. My mind pulsed with a million questions. Why did she do this? What is she after? Is her life really so empty that she had to ruin mine? I started pacing the room, nervously fidgeting with my fingers. In the mirror on the wall, I saw my pale, tense reflection. "Come on, Lisa, think," I muttered to myself, as if there was some magic in those words that could turn back time. And then, as if an answer to my inner turmoil, a thought flashed. This wasn't just jealousy. Amanda couldn't bear for anyone else to get attention, especially me, her younger sister, who had finally found happiness. Well, she certainly played her cards, I thought sarcastically, feeling a mix of anger and determination spread through my veins. As time went on, it became crystal clear. Amanda was playing for high stakes and intended to topple my life like a house of cards. She wasn't just adding a bit of drama. No, she had activated full destroyer mode. The irony? It all started with jealousy but was morphing into a full-blown thriller, with me cast as the betrayer. Amanda spread rumors faster than high-speed internet while I couldn't even catch my breath. "Did you hear? Lisa is a double dealer now?" said Lauren, one of Amanda's friends whose mouth seemed made for gossip. I walked past, and her voice cut through me like a sour note. I turned to catch her eye, and she pretended to admire the ceiling. "Yeah, play it cool, cowboy." The rumors reached David before I even understood what was happening. "Lisa, I need time to think," he said, looking like someone who just found out his favorite burger was discontinued. He looked broken, and that shattered my heart more than the situation itself. The whispers among our friends grew like weeds in an untended garden. I overheard someone saying David was seriously considering calling off the wedding. It felt like an avalanche, a tiny white speck in the distance that suddenly crashes down and wipes out everything in its path. Anger bubbled inside me, mixing with despair. "Oh, Amanda, you have no idea who you're dealing with," I thought, standing in my room, my hands shaking with rage. Fear and doubt tried to choke me, but I silenced them. I had to act, and fast. I refused to be the passive victim in the drama of my own life. "All right, Miss Perfection. Let's see what you've cooked up," I muttered, turning on my laptop. My journey to uncovering the truth began now. When everything started spiraling out of control, I knew I couldn't handle it alone and immediately called Jake. Jake, the guy who could hack your phone and change the weather in your stories for good measure. He always wore meme hoodies and had a sarcastic comment for every situation that would make even the wittiest comedian jealous. When I showed up at his door with wild eyes and a folder full of fake evidence, he smirked and said, "Lisa, what blew up this time?" "My life, Jake. My freaking life," I hissed, throwing the folder onto his desk. He glanced at it, frowned, and that spark of intrigue flickered in his eyes. A few hours later, our little IT mission began. Jake did his thing with his usual finesse, fingers darting across the keyboard like he had a private contract with the keys. The screen flashed codes and programs with names that sounded like a mix between a techno band and a magic spell. "You know what's funny?" he said without looking away from the screen. "Your sister thought everyone was dumb, but her little show is beginner hacker-level stuff." "Can you prove it's fake?" I asked, trying not to bite my nails. "Oh, please, that's not even a question. Look at this." He nodded to the screen where the details of the fake accounts and software Amanda used to forge the evidence popped up. It was so meticulously done that I almost clapped for her effort. Anger quickly replaced any hint of admiration. "Well, Miss Drama and Photoshop Queen, your 15 minutes of fame are up," I said, feeling a surge of confidence grow inside me. Jake raised an eyebrow and smirked. "You planning a show? Because if so, I want front row seats." "A show? Jake, this is going to be the premiere of the century," I replied, picturing all the fake friends and doubters falling silent when the truth was revealed. I now had everything: screenshots, software details, the complete arsenal of truth. All that was left was to find the perfect stage for the grand finale, a place where Amanda wouldn't be able to wriggle out. The day of the wedding arrived, and the atmosphere in the hall was a tight knot of nerves and hypocrisy, tied together with glitter and fake smiles. David stood off to the side, looking like a lost child unable to find his parents in a crowd. Amanda looked like she'd won the grand prize on Who Can Ruin Someone's Life the Most. Radiant, smug, her gaze sweeping the room like a queen awaiting bows. But this time, the show was mine. I hadn't rehearsed that moment countless nights in front of the mirror for nothing. And so, when the guests gathered, some with champagne, others with slices of cake, I stood up and took the microphone. The room fell silent as if someone had hit the mute button. Amanda turned to me with a wary look, and David's face showed surprise. "Sorry to interrupt this beautiful ceremony, but I have something important to share," I began. And without giving anyone time to react, I nodded to Jake, who stood by the projector, ready to hit play. The first slides appeared on the screen. Conversations, fake accounts, IP address lists, all the evidence Jake and I had collected. And oh, the guests' faces were priceless. Eyes widened, eyebrows shot up. Someone even choked on their sip of champagne. Ladies and gentlemen, meet tonight's star, Amanda, master of digital trickery and queen of intrigue. You thought no one would notice, right? I turned to my sister, and for the first time, her smug smile disappeared. Her face turned as red as a new sports car you can't afford. Gasps echoed through the hall, and someone muttered, "Is this a joke?" But I continued, "Oh no, not a joke. As real as your ex's tears when you block him everywhere." David stood frozen, eyes darting between me and the screen as if trying to figure out who had betrayed him. The moment it all clicked was almost cinematic. Amanda tried to shout something, but her voice was lost in the stunned silence and the stares of the guests, now directed at her with suspicion and shock. Inside, I felt a mix of rage and relief. The truth was out, and now the game was played on my terms. Amanda stood there, lips pressed into a thin line, trying to maintain an expression of all under control, but her eyes betrayed everything: fear, fury, and a hint of panic. She took a step forward as if to seize the microphone and wrest back control, but I raised my hand immediately, signaling that I was in charge now. "It's all lies! This is fake!" Her voice shook like a poorly tuned piano. Guests exchanged glances, unsure whom to believe. I noticed Aunt Martha, unflappable even if an asteroid fell, wide-eyed, and Uncle Frank, the eternal skeptic, crossing his arms and muttering, "So that's what family ties mean?" David stood still, like his brain was caught on a loop. His gaze held that look of someone who just discovered his favorite restaurant had turned into a grocery store. His eyes flicked between me and Amanda, reading something like, "Is this a dream or a nightmare?" Amanda kept flailing to regain control. "Lisa has always been jealous of me, you know her?" she shouted, sweeping the room with her eyes. Her voice cracked like old piano keys. A sarcastic smile spread across my face. "Oh, really, Amanda? I was jealous of your talent for ruining lives and playing the victim? Sorry, I didn't know you had a superpower," I said, clapping my hands mockingly. Mom and Dad sat as if nailed to their seats. Mom clutched her hand to her mouth, and Dad looked at Amanda with an expression like she had just confessed to selling the family silver for cryptocurrency. Their shock was palpable. "Amanda, is it true?" Mom whispered, her voice filled with hurt and disbelief. No answer. The room fell silent, and suddenly it was clear. Amanda had been unmasked, and no words could piece back her Golden Girl image. Guests began whispering, their glances turning disdainful and judgmental. Amanda finally realized her time was up. Like a puppet with cut strings, she stood in a room where her world was crumbling. After the revelation, Amanda faced not just hard times, but social exile. Friends and colleagues who once fawned over her outfits and brilliant ideas now pretended not to see her at the cafe, or quickened their pace past her office. Her reputation plummeted faster than Black Friday discounts. She was no longer the Golden Girl, but a walking reminder of how far envy can push someone. Once, I overheard Lauren, the gossip queen, whisper to a friend, "Seen Amanda? She's like a ghost now. Except instead of boo, she says, 'It's not what it looks like.'" I didn't laugh, but deep inside, a tiny victory dance played out in my heart. David finally realized that listening wasn't enough when making big decisions. He came to me, remorseful, eyes saying, "Yeah, I messed up, but please give me a chance. Lisa, I'm so sorry I believed that nonsense. I was blind and I didn't want to lose you," he said, with a tone that made me want to slap him and hug him at the same time. And you know what? Despite everything, his words felt genuine. "Well, Captain Obvious, glad you finally caught up," I smirked, holding back a flood of emotions. He smiled slightly, and we both understood there was a long road to healing ahead. Our wedding had to be rescheduled, not the scene I'd pictured when I first tried on my dress. But oddly, after all this mess, our love was stronger. We had been through fire, water, and Amanda, and now we knew we could weather any storm. The gossip about the fall of the Queen lingered for a while. Amanda tried to salvage her reputation, but each time she spoke, someone would suddenly remember an urgent phone call or raise an eyebrow as if saying, "Sure, tell us another one of your tales." In the end, truth and common sense prevailed. I stood on the threshold of a new life with David, knowing that not even the loudest storm could shatter our little but sturdy world. Amanda tried to approach me with that familiar mix of contrition and theatrical regret, her voice shaking. "Lisa, I need to talk," she said, stepping forward as if I might disappear. "Oh, Amanda, are you sure? Maybe rehearse your speech in front of the mirror first?" I responded, arms crossed and eyebrow raised. I'd seen this show before, and now it was almost comical. She swallowed, as if pride got stuck in her throat, and continued. "I know I crossed a line. It was terrible. I just wanted—" Her voice quivered, and for a moment, I thought she might have a shred of decency. But then I remembered this was the same woman who had destroyed my wedding for her twisted need to be the center of attention. "Stop, Amanda, let's be honest. You wanted things your way and didn't care about the consequences," I said, keeping my sarcastic smile. Inside, I felt a strange mix of disappointment and relief. She hadn't just ruined my plans. She'd shattered her own life, now standing here as if one apology could fix everything. Her face fell, eyes brimming with tears. "I do regret it, Lisa. I'm scared I lost you." "Scared? Scared is when your battery is dying in traffic and you need your GPS. You? You lost control when you decided you could manipulate not just your life, but mine." I stepped closer, locking eyes. A heavy silence hung between us, as if the world were holding its breath. But nothing followed. This was the end of her act and my patience. I would no longer let her play a part in my story. "And you know what, Amanda? From now on, you're no longer the star of my story," I concluded, turning away and leaving her standing alone in the room.